Thanks for coming. Obviously, disappointing on Friday, but the one thing we know, we've got a great group of young men. They're playing hard, and they continue to give effort, and they finish well. We are seeing improvement every week. I think that is one of the things that are most important, and we just got to continue to execute better. And part of that, there's no excuses, obviously. We got to do a good job as coaches. We coach a little better. We got to play a little better. The expectations every week are to win, and that's not going to change. Win on the practice field, win in the classroom, and win out there in game time. So there's a lot that we look forward to, and really, we've had a good week. I know it's only been 2 days, but we've had a good week. Had a really good day yesterday, and some of the things I think that we learned from Friday night's game, we implement.
Question about chunk plays. Was that lack of gap control, or kids just over pursuing and all?
Well, I think
was all that stuff placed for Genty to run?
Yeah, a couple things I would say. I think both of those are issues that we've got to do a better job with. 11 hats to the ball, and I would also say he's pretty good. I think he's a good football player. But that's our job to get him on the ground, and we miss too many tackles, Lee. Not wrapping, not following through with your feet are all things that we got to do a better job at. I can tell you we probably practice tackling as much as anybody in this country, so it's kind of disappointing from that standpoint, but it's something that we got to keep doing.
Coach, winning's hard, period.
Always.
And Air Force does a lot of it. Given all the things that they have to do, not only off the field, but just who they are as a program, who they can recruit there, how impressive is their run of success?
Well, I think number one, Coach Calhoun, he's a good guy. He's a good coach. He's got a good staff. He coached with the Texans with my brother, so I've known him for a while, and I think he does a nice job. And it's part of that commitment that's made. That is something that I think we all should be really proud of.
What makes their offense so difficult to defend?
You don't see it. You don't see it a lot. I mean, and it's always harder when you have good athletes in those positions. And I think they've recruited very well. I think the quarterback, he was a track guy also. So when he gets out on the edge, he can go. They're totally offensively, they're a good football team. And there's enough of the guys who came back from a year ago that we played against, so it would be. I like playing Air Force, Navy, and Army personally because it exposes your fundamentals, and you're disciplined with what you want to do. So that part of it.
Like this year, 2 of the 3 guys are different, and yet they haven't missed a beat.
No.
Is it something about that system?
I think so. I think that's part of it, and. I think part of why you see, all 3 academies run the triple option concepts, is because of, their ability to recruit those guys to the academies, which is a positive if you want to play in that style.
Are academy kids more disciplined in some ways than regular college students?
Shoot, I don't know. That you can go over to the dorm and ask
they have
them.
to take orders and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I think our guys do a good job of, I don't want to say taking orders, but I think they do a good job of understanding the concept of discipline.
The struggles at the academies to keep their head coaches, the turnover is pretty significant, except in Colorado Springs. special type coach to want to be in that environment?
You know, I guess I would say, Lee, not being in Colorado Springs very often or something like that, I think, you know, obviously Troy is a graduate, you know, and there's, I want to say 11 guys on their staff somewhere through, you know, it might be recruiting, it might be that are all guys who played at the academy. So I think knowing the expectations and the environment you're in, I do think that's something special. You know, I'm proud of the guys that we have on this staff from San Diego State who are San Diego State grads. And, you know, Larry Parker and Kyle Spalding in our recruiting office now. I mean, that really is exciting to me to have those guys here and understand and being part of something that they do understand.
Last year, Coach, they had the Conference Player of the Year, their fullback. They really depended on him. This year, they're really spreading the ball around. In some ways, does that make them harder to defend because they have so many weapons?
Well, you have to defend the fullback. So what that young man, I think it was Andrews, is that right, last year? Yeah, Roberts. Yeah, I mean, that guy was a football player. I mean, bona fide ass kicker football player. And he, you know, he was fun to play against. Our guys played pretty well, to be honest with you. You know, Jonah Tabai, and I think Banks had his best game in this game a year ago. And so, you know, I think you got to stop the fullback. If you don't stop the fullback, you're not going to stop the triple. So, yes, this guy's pretty good. They have the two guys they've been using in there. Roberts was really good.
What about their, how different is Etheridge from Michelle, the two big backs?
I don't know if there's much of a difference. You know, I can't say one's faster than the other. One's got better balance. I think they both execute really good. Their precision and how they, you know, run the offense is something that, you know, it's great to watch. I mean, it really is. I mean, they're very, very disciplined with what they do. We got to make them a little undisciplined.
What about their defense, which is only allowing something like 220 yards per game so far?
Yeah, they've gotten a lot of guys who go get the football. I think they play extremely disciplined, going back to, you know, what they do offensively too. But I think they're very disciplined in what they're doing, and they're getting guys in the right places, and they're tackling well.
How pleased are you with the progression of your offense underlying? I mean, even this past weekend, Boise out-game Boise had nearly 450 total yards of offense. What are you seeing from your offense?
Well, I think our offense has continued to grow. I think we've grown up. We had one sack last week, you know, and so I think that part of it. Now, we did have 3 false starts, and they were kind of spread around. Armstead had one of them. I think we had 5 total penalties. One of them was the kick out of bounds. So we were better in that area. You know, I thought Keenan had some really more powerful type runs a couple times in there. And we just got to take care of the football. It goes back to the same things. Time of possession, which we've been good at. Air Force's last 3 games have had over 36 minutes of time of possession. So, you know, we've got to be good in that area, that arena of what we're doing.
The last 2 seasons, you've played an extra linebacker frequently, obviously without going into the game plan. Is there any thought that when you have a new QB, and obviously with what can happen in the 3-3-5, that you would want to vary the looks a little bit or anything of that nature?
Yeah, and that's really, I think what Kirk's done a really good job. You know, we talk about 4-man front, 5-man front, an Aztec group, and an option group, obviously. You know, so between those things, I think we've got a good plan. You know, I do think as we go through it, the execution, you know, Like I said yesterday, I thought, even though we weren't in full pads, we had spiders on. I thought our guys did a nice job. One of the hard parts about defending the offense is getting the look of the offense for your defense. Because everything, usually the first series of a game, and it'll be interesting, first series of a game, the offense, their offense, has some success. And part of it is catching up with the speed of the game, the speed of the offensive tackles, veer blocking inside, the speed of an offensive tackle, arc blocking outside, all those things, how fast the fullback gets to the line of scrimmage, for the play fake. So all those things are part, and in my years of coaching, the first drive is always one that I don't want to say hasn't always worked out so well, but it has a tendency because of the speed your guys got to get used to.
Can you load the box and blitz gaps to make them run, or is there danger once they get to the second level, they've gone to the parking lot?
I'll tell you it's kind of funny, you don't want to hear this story though, but when we were at Oregon State, we had Jerry Pettibone came in as the head coach. I stayed with that group, and that's when Coach Long came in. And they were all triple option. They had come from Northern Illinois. They were all triple option. So that spring, we defended triple option, and we blitzed the living crap out of it because that was one way we thought we could, slow them down. It went okay. We got better players and we got better over the years, so it was pretty good for us.
San Diego State had won 9 straight before last year against Air Force. Does the 3-3-5 work better against that for some reason, do you think, or why is it?
Say that statistic again?
Aztecs had won 9 straight against Air Force before last year. Does that 3-3-5 defense maybe fit against the triple option better?
Yeah, you can call it 3-3-5, but a lot of times it's either a 4-man front. You may be using more athletic guy as one of the ends, but it's really, we're playing 4-man front and 5-man fronts. I mean, that's what we typically have played against them. So it's a little different, I guess I would say. You're going to have guys who are walked out, right? They're going to be overhangs, right? You're going to have guys in the middle. And that Aztec, where he goes compared to the Mike and the Will, really, and then where the Sam is compared to a down safety.
And how much do you guys practice defending the pass against them?
You always have to, because the problem is they get big plays because everybody's honed in, and that's where, your free safety, middle field safety, he's gonna shuffle before he goes anywhere.
They've only thrown 12 passes, but one for an 84-yard touchdown.
Yeah, that's the problem. So you've got to be disciplined with your eyes of what you're doing.
Brady, how does altitude play into everything at college?
I never talk about it. I've never seen it hurt one of our teams.
Do you have more players that you're rotating through when you're playing at altitude?
No, not consciously. I have never. We don't even talk about it.
Coach, who handles the scout team QB trying to simulate that?
Who handles it? Years ago, Adam Hall may have handled it, the strength coach. But DJ does a really good job. I mean, he's an unbelievable kid, and he does a really good job, running with the ball and giving us the looks.
Are mistakes magnified in a game like this because the possessions?
Big plays or
mistakes.
Possessions?
Because possessions are limited.
Right.
Does that make the precision of what you do even more important because there's not as many opportunities to?
I think the consistency that you have to have, obviously, in all 3 phases. But we've got to do a good enough job trying to steal possession, right? If you can do it, number one, create some turnovers, right? They haven't turned over the ball very much, right? So create some turnovers that way, in the special teams. Make sure that, you're defending the field and changing the field, field position. We got to do a great job with that. So those things to me are really important when you play a team that's going to, like 36 minutes in the last 3 games, possess the ball.
Switching gears a little bit, you have a couple players leave the program. Is that a new normal?
Yes, I think it's very much a new normal. There are the 2 guys are good guys. They're good guys, not playing as much as they'd like, and sometimes the grass is greener, sometimes it's not.
Anything else for Coach? Yeah. Can you talk about the job the Air Force does blocking downfield so that your DBs have to fight off these blocks in addition to tackling? Can you talk about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, in the framework of the offense itself, and that's where, they want to get up to the second level like most teams, but they also get up to the third level, with a back, an H-back, or whatever you want to call it, an arc, the veer schemes up front, they are, obviously up to get to the second level, and we got to do a good job of what we call constricting those guys getting up to the second level.
And constricting means, to a layman, what does that mean?
To a layman, it means we're going to flatten them down the line of scrimmage if we can. You should have known that.
Thank you.
I thought he looked at triple option a little more.
Are cut blocks still a real problem with what they run?
Yeah,
Is the officiating
yeah.
challenge to clean it up?
Yes, I agree with what you just said. They are, I think consciously, and just knowing Troy, they're conscious about not getting illegal, right? I mean, it doesn't, now, that doesn't mean they're not, you're getting guys, cut on the backside. And I'm okay with that as long as it's in front. It's when you squeeze down and a guy jumps on the back of your legs, you could ruin a kid's career. And so I think Troy is very intentional to make sure they do it the right way, and because he cares about everybody's kids.
Anything else?
Thank you, appreciate it.